Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hanif Wahyuni, and today I will present my proposal titled Teachers Corrective Feedback in EFL Learning to Speak at Junior High School to Padang Panjang. So, we all agree that speaking is often seen as the most important skill in learning English, right? Especially here in Indonesia, where English is a foreign language. Our students usually only get to use English inside the classroom. This limited exposure often leads to them feeling a bit shy, a lack of confidence, and they naturally make lots of errors when they try to speak. This is where our incredible teachers come in. Their role in providing corrective feedback is absolutely crucial to help students overcome this struggle. Now, while we know corrective feedback is important, I notice a bit of a gap. There isn't much localized research, especially here in Padang Panjang, focusing on how teachers actually provide this feedback in speaking classes. This school, SMP Negeri 2 Padang Panjang or Junior High School to Padang Panjang, is particularly relevant to my study because it's where I'll be doing my teaching practice. This gives me a unique opportunity for direct, continuously observations and a really deep dive into their teaching practice. So, the main problem I've observed is that 8th grade students at this school often really struggle with speaking errors, particularly in grammar and pronunciation. And honestly, we don't really have a clear picture yet of what kind of feedback teachers are giving and how effective those techniques are in this specific context. That brings us to my two main research questions. First, what are the most frequent speaking errors corrected by English teachers of 8th grade students at junior high school to Padang Panjang? And second, how do English teachers treat 8th grade students speaking errors in pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension at junior high school to Padang Panjang? To tackle these questions, we first need to understand what kinds of errors students are making. My research categorizes speaking errors into 5 main types. Drawing from existing literature, we have pronunciation errors, like saying words incorrectly or having awkward intonation. Then there are grammar errors, saying wrong verbs, tenses, or incorrect sentence structure. Third, vocabulary errors are when students use the wrong words. And then fourth, fluency errors relate to unnatural pauses or too much hesitation. And finally, comprehension errors are when students just don't understand what's being asked, leading to irrelevant responses. And then, how do teachers respond to these errors? My study will closely examine the 6 main types of oral corrective feedback identified by Lister and Ranta in 1997. First, explicit correction. This is pretty straightforward. The teacher directly tells the students they are wrong and gives the correct form. No, that's wrong. It should be she goes to school. Second, recast. This is where more subtle. The teacher replaces the students' incorrect iterants correctly without explicitly pointing out the error. For example, like student said that I go to market, and then teacher said, oh, you went to the market. Third, clarification request. The teacher signals that the iterants is unclear, prompting the students to clarify. What do you mean? Fourth, metalinguistic feedback. Here, the teacher provides comments or questions about correctness of the iterants without giving the right form. Is that the past tense? Something like that. Fifth, elucidation. The teacher tries to get the correct form from the student, she, or what the correct form of go here. Sixth, repetition. The teacher repeats the student's incorrect iterants, often with raised intonation, to highlight the error. For example, like student said that she liked apples. Teacher, she like apples? I'll be looking for how frequently and in what context these are used. So, how am I going to do all this? My research uses a descriptive qualitative design. I'm choosing this because it allows me to get a really deep, rich understanding of both the student's error and the teacher's feedback techniques. As I mentioned, the setting is SMP Negeri 2 Padang Panjang or Junior High School 2 Padang Panjang, chosen because of my direct access through teaching practice. My participation will be the English teachers and of course the 8th grade students. For data collection, I'll be using a few key instruments. First, a classroom observation checklist to systematically note down errors and feedback. Second, audio and video recordings of the lessons. These are super important because they capture every spoken interaction, allowing for precise transcription and analysis. And finally, semi-structured teacher interviews. This is where I'll get to understand the teacher's perspective, their philosophy on errors, and why they choose certain feedback strategies. Once I collect all the data, the analysis will follow Miles and Huberman's interactive model. It's a continuous process with 3 main activities. First, data reduction. This is about selecting, focusing, simplifying, and transforming the raw data. I'll identify every error and every feedback response, then categorize them. I'll also code the theme emerging from the teacher interviews. Second, data display. I'll organize the reduced data, maybe in frequency tables for errors and feedback types, and certainly in descriptive narratives using direct quotes from my transcripts. Third, conclusion. Drawing and verification. This is where I start to interpret the patterns and draw initial conclusions, constantly cross-referencing back to the raw data to confirm or refine my findings. Ultimately, I believe this research will have significant impact for teachers. The findings will offer valuable insights, helping them reflect on and refine their feedback strategies to be more targeted and effective. For students, understanding the common errors they make and how their teacher correct them can empower them to become more self-aware and autonomous learners. And for the school and even for education department, this comprehensive data can serve as a strong foundation for curriculum development and professional development programs for English teachers, ultimately elevating the quality of English language teaching and learning. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I genuinely hope this research can make a meaningful contribution to English language teaching practice. Thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.